Hi guys, welcome back to another Matchbox Garage video. I'm Rob and today I shall be attempting to take this budgie Austin Healey 100 from shabby to shiny. This one, as you can see, it's been overpainted. I think the incorrect wheels are on here, and yeah, some damage there to the front windscreen section, unfortunately. But yeah, it looks like it's been overpainted in a white nail varnish perhaps, and I think actually, as you can see on the rear there, the base is overlapping on the car, so some kind of, I guess, manufacturer defect that we need to fix later on as well. But a beautiful car, one of my favourites, one of the cars that I think you should own, certainly if you are a lottery winner. But this one made somewhere between 1957 and 1963, and I'm going to do a little bit of a restoration plus on it today, and with 2,000 likes it could be yours. But yeah, it doesn't roll very well. As you can see, you've got a little fella in here. I say a fella, I think it's a lady, and I think her name is Mary. But yeah, it does read underneath, just Austin Healey, made in England, number 16. And as you can see, I'm not sure, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this has been drilled apart before. Basically, these rear wheels just will not turn. Doesn't matter whether I, try and push them in, pull them out. They won't turn. They're just too big. The fronts, though, are okay. So I'm not sure whether this has had kind of replacement wheels in the past. That or just the wheels over time of, I don't know, they've changed shape perhaps. They've swollen. But they are metal, so I just can't see that. But like I say, I weren't convinced, not sure whether this had already been pre-drilled before. There's not much of a flange going on there, so I wondered if I could remove that base as it was. Turns out that I can't, so I'm just going to reach now for my 4mm drill bit and then very gently try to remove any remaining flange for me to pop off this base. So, of course, not wanting to take off too much. A little bit, try it. A little bit, try it again. Of course, I can always keep removing it. I can't put it back. But I think one final little push, and hopefully we can get this base gone. Trying to find a suitable place for my screwdriver. Of course, what I don't want to do is bend this base. It's very old. It must be, it's over 60 years old. And the thing with die cast is that you bend it one way, you bend it the next, and then it snaps. I can't get my screwdriver in anywhere suitable, so I'm going to take off these wheels. Now, they're not rolled over, they're crimped, so I'm going to uncrimp, decrimp, what the correct terminology is there. But I'm basically just trying to flatten out the crimp section so that these wheels pop over. And there's the rear. Look, that wheel is even stuck in position. Same again then on the front. But yeah, it's been a bit of a pain, but hopefully now we've got a little bit of a room here, a little bit of space to try and get underneath that base and pop it off without any damage. And there we go, finally. and then the other wheel set remains. So this is the original, perhaps, or something around that time. Quite weighty, these little wheels, and I won't be using those today. They're too far gone, in my opinion, for what I feel is now a beautiful restoration. But yeah, as you can see underneath there, the original red colour. And I will be repainting it in red today. Now, wheel-wise, I looked on Google, considered some replacements, and I have these, and they are, again, a little bit sizable. Now, this one's not really for playing with, to be honest, so this one's going to be a show model, and it's not much of a roller. It does turn, of course, but it's not going to win any races, so these wheels just fill out these arches perfectly. And looking on Google, there were cars that come with very similar wheels to this back in the day. The only difference is that these have a Volkswagen badge in the middle, but I'll be removing that and filling it in with chrome. But yeah, the base here, lovely bit of detail on the driver. And we'll be decking that driver out soon. Oh, Mary there in a little English sports car. And looking at some images, this would have simply had a couple of posts that stick up that have snapped off. And I could have done the same. I went a little bit further. And again, I hope you agree. But there's quite a thickness of paint here to remove. But in she goes to the foot-long hot dog jar covered in boiling water, and then in comes a tablespoon of caustic soda. And just for luck, because we do have a lot of paint to remove today, I've added in a tablespoon and a half. Little bit on the side there. To be honest, there's not really a lot to look at. Straight away, this is turned very milky, so I'll just leave it in the filter here, just to chuck out all those harmless gases out the window, rather than into my lungs. But yeah, having a little play here already. The thing's not even together yet. But I think we have good paint removal here. See a little bit more detail now on Mary. And what I have now noticed is that quite a bit of scoring on this bodywork. Seems like the previous person had tried to remove the paint with a chainsaw or something similar. And we'll try to get out all those scratches before repainting today. Now, having a look, selecting my weapon of choice. These ones with Ella's tool unfortunately don't work. The lowest setting just spreads it out like an umbrella, and then they all come shooting out. So we will be using this one today. I have actually bought myself a new Dremel, a Dremel Micro, which will be featuring in the next video. But to give you a little sample of that boot section, and also, why not, of the bonnet section too. And there we are. and I'll make sure that I do that all over. And look at this, beautiful. Already very exciting to see that. And same again with the base and Mary. And before I go any further, I mentioned at the beginning of the video some fitting issue with this. See, it fits nice and flush, sits inside, you can see the wheels there. Coming towards the back, it seems to dip down. There's a gap there. And then it's basically this, it's just too long, this base. So rather than sitting inside, it sits on top. And that is no good for us today. We will be grinding this down so that we get perfect fitment. And I've got a load of these nail files here. My wife has been looking for them. Please don't tell them where they are. I need them. And then little by little we'll keep working at it until she fits nice and snug. I actually gave up on the nail file and I used this sheet of sandpaper here. But as you can see, working that and now putting it into position, she now sits flush. Perfect. Thumbs up from me. Now I'm going to turn my attention to the little window section. I'm not going to go with just the 2 single posts. I know these cars originally would have had 2 posts and then kind of like an open top window section. But what I'm going to do is use these cotter pins or split pins, depending on where you are in the world, calling them different names. And I'm going to straighten this one out and then bend it so that we have a perfect window section for this car. Thankfully, this cotter pin was very malleable and very forgiving. The amount of times I bent it and then straightened it out, bent it again, straightened it out, bent it again, and never once did it, you know, never snapped. It never seemed to get weak. But yeah, using my vise there, and I've also got a little hammer, but it was quite late in the evening, so I didn't want to wake my children up. But as you can see, I'm going to go up, across, and then down. So it's probably been, I don't know, maybe 10-15 minutes later, and I think you'll agree that is looking good. And I've slightly done it at an angle. I did first of all do it straight, and it just looked a bit silly. So I put a little bit of an angle on it so that it kind of sat back a bit. And trying to use these tweezers here, show you the rough position. And then I simply glue it. I use super glue and baking powder. But yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So here it is now in position. I've cleaned up the casting, rubbed it down one last time, degreased it, ready for some black primer. And I'll give this a good going over with the primer. Usually I just go with the one coat, but this one was a little bit rough, so I did wait for it to fully dry before hitting it up with a second coat of primer today. And same again on the base and Mary. I actually just went with a single coat of primer just on the base here. And like I mentioned earlier on, I've got this little wheel set as a green light Volkswagen wheel set, and to me they are perfect. Nice little white walls, I think period correct. The only thing that's against them really is the fact that they have a Volkswagen badge in the middle. So what I'm simply doing here is dabbing it with my chrome ink just to fill in obviously those Volkswagen signs. But using this TS14 straight from the can, courtesy of our friend Tony Bellini. And this is perfect for bases. And Mary here will be getting this base coat of black before some detail painting later on. And I have not used enamel for some time, but I felt this car, it's suited. I'll be using the gloss red. As we discovered at the beginning of the video, this originally was in red, and this is known as a Ferrari red, and I think very similar to the original colour. Takes quite a few coats of paint, this one. I would guess I put on 7 or 8 coats. As you can see here, it looks pretty rough to start, but eventually the colour does pull through. But here's those wheels. And I've had this underneath the heat lamp all night, so it's probably very cured now. Same again with Mary. I give her a little blue coat, painted in her little face, and then a little green headscarf. But let me put it all back together off camera. And this is the final result. So as you can see, these wheels in position now, to me, perfect. Absolutely perfect. I think there's a nice height and rake to that window section. Beautiful red colour. Coming around the back with a little bit of chrome in that rear bumper, but also the boot hatch there. Coming back around the other side, of course you can see Mary. She can see where she's going. She hasn't got the wind in her face anymore. Tiny little bit of a chrome detail on the side there as well. And of course, what a beautiful chromed out face on this Austin Healey. One of my favourites that I've ever done, actually. But remember, with 2,000 likes, it could be yours. So I just want to take this opportunity now to thank my amazing patrons. And thank you everybody else for watching. Hopefully you like this one. Hopefully you're keeping safe. And I'll see you soon on the next.